Right. I'll go ahead and share my screen. I don't think I've run one of these in a while. Seems like there is an agenda that was conveniently already filled out with a bunch of stuff and people. Many of the people aren't here. I deleted them already. But let's kick it off with the open PRs. Ending merge. One review, or maybe two. I don't know what the difference between a green and a gray check mark is.
A gray check mark is not an authorized review.
That's important to know.
But anyhow,
it's also not counted as a review in the check.
Yeah, this is a very important change for us because currently the CPI in Azure is not really usable because you get a lot of SSL read errors. And yeah, that was also seen by other companies. And with that, we added some retries so that we at least don't see these issues that often anymore. And
no, actually, it's not about retries. So it seems that the Azure API changed, and they are not sending end of files anymore in their response body. So you do have this content lengths and end of files, right? And the problem is that they stopped sending end of files in the response body, and yeah, then you're just stuck. We additionally added a retry because they in Stack Overflow there mentions that this help, but at the end it helped that we just can live with this retry this missing end of files. Yeah.
You love the surprise changes Azure throws around.
You guys are the only one who are using the Azure for now, right? I don't know.
No, here you can see this Mets 2 days ago is exactly using is as well using it, right?
Oh, okay.
And this is an SAP colleague.
And we use it too. Kind of surprised we haven't run into this.
Yeah. It's really weird. So first we thought it's the director, but we rolled back the director. We did not touch the CPI since weeks, right? We are on the latest version, but that is running since a while. And then at one day, bam, it's just not working anymore. And that indicates that the other end of the communication has changed, yeah. And then colleagues found that this end of file is just missing. Yeah. It's a similar behavior like we experienced already with the Azure Blob Store when they stopped truncating their responses. Yeah.
I wonder if it's, since we haven't seen it, and we probably do, I don't know, create and destroy a few dozen Azure VMs a day in our test pipelines. I wonder if it's region specific. I wonder if they broke something somewhere. The number of times Azure's just been like, break stuff, like, and then we message them and they're like, oh, interesting, and then just like goes away 2 days later. But if this fixes it, seems like seems like a good idea.
Is this from some API version? My understanding is this related also on the CPI version.
That's not my understanding because we did not update the CPI version to any extent, and the used SSL version in the CPI is stable since a while, right? So also on that end, there is no change. Am I wrong?
The API versions got bumped like a month or two ago. It was when somebody did a PR for the PV2 disks.
But those are only patch levels, I think.
Of the API? The API is a disaster. The API versions, like every endpoint has a different version and they're dated. So there's no like patches. It's just like this date. And also you can't use the same date for all of them because sometimes they release one API, but a different one they don't release at that date. So you have to have like different dates for all of them. And learning this like last month when it broke was bad time. but everything's generally been, I mean, it's been out for a little bit. We've been using it and we haven't seen it. So it definitely didn't break immediately. So I think it's probably a change on the Azure side.
Can you try that this helps, Matthias?
Yeah. I mean, so in our Bosch team, so I tried it, Ansh tried it, Chan tried it on different landscapes. It's yeah.
So when you
We are
revert
very
back,
convinced.
the issue rises again.
Huh? Sorry.
Oh, and when you revert this back, the issue is back again, right?
Yeah.
So it's reproducible. Okay.
There's no tests here, but it's also just sort of setting an SSL option, which you could write a test for, but like it's not like a behavioral test of the code really. So I don't know if we're fine with that.
That's true.
Doesn't seem like a super valuable test. It's like turn on flag F, make sure flag F is on in all situations. It's not like there's, oh, XYZ is true, so flag F. So I'm fine without an explicit test for this, but if anybody disagrees, we can also, I'm sure it's going to take like 5 minutes to write the test if somebody wants it.
I mean, there are some changes to the logic around rescuing the errors, right? Or not?
Doing additional retries on this, yeah. Although I don't think you were here. You were saying that this is not necessarily the root of the problem, right?
Yeah, exactly. So the root of the problem is more that this error is simply, or yeah, it just stops in the HTTP handling if you do not have, or if you do not retrieve an EOF, right? So this exactly that line that you're currently marking.
So if you set this flag, is this error even possible anymore?
I can't tell. That's what I didn't test it. So yeah.
Yeah, because in the description, there's something about not using that flag.
Hmm?
In some of
I guess one thing for just future code clarity would be maybe can you try it without the ORs and see if it's equally fixed, just so it's not like turn off these things so it never raises there, and then another part of the code is like rescue these errors that are impossible now, just for somebody coming in here later being like, I don't understand why this rescue's here.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
we can do so.
there's in the comments it says like from Hans, you can set that thing, but the flag flag has a workaround, but it comes with other possible concerns, and I'm wondering like what those are.
I can't tell because it's not he's not mentioning his concerns. Yeah.
I mean, I'm guessing if like the connection is terminated or something, and you just like can't tell that. I don't know.
You don't see that you do have an issue. I don't know. Yeah, okay. So means we will remove this retry logic and then see again. Yeah.
It seems like we're doing it double, right? We're retrying and we're setting that flag, and do we need both? That's what I'm wondering about. Like, and if there's concerns with setting that flag, can we do without it and just retry the specific errors?
I mean, we could, if we're going that route, I think we should also contact AWS or Azure and be like, why you sometimes send in a file and sometimes you don't.
Yeah, so you also want to say to AWS, like, they are really great. This is what Azure is doing. It's really wrong. Azure, AWS, we really like you. We want to do that as well.
I think that if you can turn this off and it doesn't break the entire world, it's probably fine being off. Like I can't think of I don't know what the flag does, but like if you turn it off and it doesn't break anything and everything starts working, like seems good. And then we'll get reports next week of why it's broken, and then we'll understand it better.
Yeah.
I guess we could also reply and ask what the other concerns are, if they have concrete ones. Let me just do that right now.
But so we agree that it makes sense to split this into maybe one for retry and one to disable that if retry is required at all afterwards. I can imagine that retry is useful, just maybe we don't want to react on that error, which is most probably not possible anymore.
Yeah, so from my perspective, if this retry is not needed, we should not add it, right? Yeah. So I guess from our perspective, we just test it tomorrow without retry, and update the PR accordingly. Our only need is to get that then in quickly, and get a new release of it, right? Because it's really burning under our fingers.
Yeah. Once you
Yeah.
do that work, we can merge it and get it cut pretty quickly. The pipeline's
Yeah.
small.
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else on this one? This one has a couple reviews.
Oopsie. I've forgotten to act on this, sorry.
Okay, no problem. So still
Yeah,
waiting.
I was wondering what was the thing I had forgotten to do.
I
Sure, fine.
often realize those
Was-
things halfway through these meetings. I have specific kernels. So where's this PR? Still waiting reviews.
Talking about things I forgot to do.
I mean, you did ask them, and then well,
Yeah, but then I self-requested a review and I
yeah.
didn't do it.
All right. In progress still.
I haven't checked it, so.
Oh,
Is
and
anyone
where's-
else going to check it, or do I still need to check it?
If Ruben checks that one, most probably is enough.
I could, yeah. Yeah. Ruben takes a look at it, seems fine. We should probably do this, I suppose. Yeah, so apparently you can't have null version checks according to Ruby gems, deprecated for several years. So you can't just say gem JSON and get whatever, you got to say something. So changing this to a tilde2 is, I guess, the best that we can get, but I don't know what sort of repercussions this has for our future, where we have so many things that have nothing on them. Maybe you can just do a tilde. It's like, just give me anything.
This will do like all the everything only within the major. So when the major turns 3, it will not bump, basically.
Yes. Yeah. Which is,
Yeah, it's
I don't
okay.
know.
Yeah,
It's okay. It's kind of annoying because we don't go audit these things ever. But I think this is currently in a state where seems good. And build time can be passed via invariable or stored in root to limit snapshot after. Oh, right. Hey, look, I wrote this.
Yeah, there needs to be someone else looking at it. I checked it, works for me. So it needs another reviewer.
Seems reasonable. I'll ping those folks.
Probably need to push Constantine again. I haven't spoken to him in a while.
Where's the other half of this?
It's in the CI stem cells. Yeah.
What is it? Oh, right. It doesn't show up here because CI stem cells is somewhere else.
Not on this board, yeah. It's
We'll count reviews for one as reviews on the other.
a completely different group, I think, for those stem cells.
I think we
so-
just need to update that filter at the top to have an additional area. But I can look at that.
What, those 3 PRs per year that comes into the Bosch stem cell CI? That's not really necessary.
Definitely. It's really important.
All right. I missed that. Was there anything else I needed to click on?
I wanted to quickly discuss the ALB plan patch PR. That
Didn't
one
we already merge
exactly.
it?
So we needed an application load balancer on AWS to configure a special TLS security policy for the FIPS validation that is not available on the classic load balancer. And the ALB files were quite outdated and didn't work with the new Terraform, and I managed to get it working with these plan patch files. This is working fine. I just couldn't find a way to disable the classic load balancer. So if you apply those, you get 2 load balancers. So and the DNS entry is pointing to the new one, so this is all fine, but it would be nice if we could disable somehow the other load balancer.
Terraform, you can override it, right? It's just like that you...
The override semantics has changed. You can only override resources of the same type.
Okay.
Yeah, I also played around with count is set to 0, which didn't work because then you need to use an index in various places. So it's a bit tricky. If anyone has more Terraform know-how,
Every time I've done it, you have to do count and then you have to put indexes everywhere. And it's the biggest
yes,
pain
you
in the
have to
butt.
put index everywhere, which is also quite ugly. Or we try to make the ALB the default load balancer and deprecate the classic one. This would also be an option for
What are
future
the
bubble
cost
versions.
difference? I'm not sure who uses the whole. We use it mostly for tests. So for us, it will be getting destroyed after immediately. So costs wise, it would not change anything for most scenarios.
I guess it's also used for bootstrapping new environments, possibly, if we have new users. I mean, it's fair that it evolves over time and uses new components on cloud providers that make sense to be used.
The other thing we can do is that you must choose A, so that it's not on there by default, none of the load balancers, and you need to provide the load balancer add-on.
That would also be an option, yes, that we extract the classic load balancer files and make the user select one.
Yeah. I think that would be mostly the cleanest thing then to do, and backward compatible. for people. who
in a
don't.
backwards compatible way, yes. Okay, yes.
Is there any? I haven't built a Cloud Foundry AWS from scratch without using automation in a while, but once upon a time, I remember there was like 3 different load balancers, and like, well, you can't use this one with the Go router. You got to use this one, and like there was a bunch of like XYZ. Is there any downside to the ALBs? Like
Not
health,
that
they
I'm
can't
aware
do
of.
like the
Yeah.
health checks they can do versus I don't know. It seems like a disaster as far as features, their feature matrix.
So there's also network load balancers, which simply do the TCP routing. Then you can do TLS termination in Go router. We also tried that, but then we decided for the FIPS scenario at least to use an application load balancer because we thought it was ready to be used in Bubble. There were planned patches, and well, now it turned out those were not so ready to use. Now they are. So yeah, the ALB offers a few more configuration options over the classic load balancer, and it offers up-to-date TLS security policies. I'm not an expert in that field, but for the FIPS, we needed an up-to-date security policy, which was not available in the old one. So that could be in future a reason to choose an ALB.
Yeah, maybe it was network load balancers was the one I was thinking of that you can't use. I remember once upon a time there was 1 or 2 that like you couldn't use with Cloud Foundry for some reason.
You can use network. I tried those. You can use a network load balancer and do the TLS termination on Go router. That is also an option.
Let's see if I can find any these old docs I'm thinking of. But so is this ready for reviews, or were you going to go back and make the split out the files or do something else? I guess question, should I add reviewers now, or did you want to make more revisions?
We can add this because this is not a default, and then the other PR could be that we then subtract the ALB, the ELB and the ALBs that you need to choose if you're going that route.
Sounds good. So review this one as is. Anything else on this one?
Nope.
I also don't have enough experience with the difference between the ALB and the ALB and the ELB. So
Found it. I found it. Somebody wants to access FIPS buckets.
that's a really old one. It's from December 1st. This is like how you can access or add access to people who need access to the FIPS buckets. So the generated heavy stem cells, FIPS stem cells, basically.
Didn't you already do this at some point, Joseph?
No, I added one group to that their CI can use these stem cells for, I think, CF deployment.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
I think Joseph did it for UAA.
I followed the instructions at some point and they worked, so I'm going to prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's just I wanted to document it and I put it in there, and if someone needed it, I said, yeah.
Did the docs did you document it somewhere else too?
No.
I don't know where I got these before.
Probably just from the PR.
Yeah, I think I asked Ramon, and then he pointed me to this, and then I gave this to you or something. I don't know. Like, that's what I vaguely remember.
Oh, this is
just one question. Why was that documentation on the stem cell CI project?
Because it's specifically for stem cells, yeah.
It's yeah.
Okay, all right. Who wants to access? Oh yeah, people subscribing to FIPS himself want to access the bucket, or
it's only for like component team maintainers that have pipelines in the
Oh,
foundation.
okay.
It's basically
Okay.
for internal use.
We can't legally
All
make them
right.
public. Yeah.
That would be a great place where to explain how to jump into the Concourse CI, which will be our next subject. Okay, right.
So now I'm realizing that all the stem cell CI stuff's showing up, which is why there's all this stuff that I've seen.
Yeah, that's
but
what
is-
I fixed.
Right. Do not tag on candidate builds. Which I think I was concerned that this is the only spot where we tag those the stem cell builder.
Yeah, and then I think your other PR is already fixing this
All right.
with the timestamp. So basically we can close this.
I'm not gonna go find the links.
Yeah. People need to use
Your
search.
future self will love you for that.
I hate past me so much sometimes. Repack SimCell. Yes. So this is something that we discovered recently, which is when we build a stem cell normally, it looks like this inside of the zip file, tar file. I don't know what a stem cell is. But if you do Bosch repack stem cell because you want to change some stuff, it looks like this. And if you perhaps write some automation that tries to pull a particular file out of a stem cell, like the manifest, it works for one and it does not work for the other because tar is like, well, there's nothing that's just that. It's got a / in front of it. So this changes repack stem cell to work and create.
Who's doing automation on Mac OS? Who is doing that?
No, it's not Mac OS. It's Linux. It's just the fact that, yeah.
Really? Oh.
Yeah, one of them packs the other way and one of them packs the other way. It's just the tar file says like this is / versus this is just like a root level file.
Must have been fun to debug.
Yeah. We found a customer of ours who's like, hey, when we repack the stem cell, it doesn't work anymore with your automation. We're like, wait, what are you doing? We learned much that we didn't want to know.
And learning that we have a repack stem cell.
Right. That was something we learned a couple years ago, and they're like, we need to do this. And we're like, oh, there's a repack stem cell. I think they were actually building it manually. And then we were like, look, we found something that somebody built a decade ago.
Ooh, we hadn't have that one for those one for a while.
Bosch IO.
Yeah, with the recent incident on Bosch community, I've seen that this repository is fairly well maintained among the top 10.
Hey, checked
in
all
the
the boxes,
community.
so just
Since the pipelines have to be reflown anyway, I'm gonna just do this afterwards.
yeah, it will do it automatically if you merge this, it will.
No, it won't. Oh wait,
Not
is
anymore?
this files changed URL? No, there is if you look at the worker in the web process, there's a ridiculous set of automation, not pseudo automation. Like we have like, I don't know, each of those entries has its own pipeline in our random concourse. We should move to the open source concourse at some point. They're pretty lightweight, but
I thought it was like if it sees changes on this repo, it will just
refly.
I will just restart.
Well, we cannot move it to the open source because it needs to push the app,
Oh, the app,
right, as
right.
well.
Yeah.
Didn't it do a thing where CFSSH is in those changes or something without pushing?
I
something
mean,
horrible.
it's still behind the firewall over here.
No. I mean, like this pipeline once it like rebuilds the index, it doesn't update. It doesn't do a CF push. It just, I think it SSHs in and does a git pull or something.
Yeah, it did
the
something like that. It
CF.
goes into CF SSH and then pull the branch and then update
Yeah.
it, basically.
There's a git
It's not
pull.
even doing a CF push.
You all want to see the terribleness. This is the line.
Yes.
Rather than
Oh.
re-pushing Bosh.io, whenever there's a change to one of the repos that backs it, it's CF SSHs into the app, greps,
Oh my.
greps the numbers. So the greps each, because there's more than one instance, like cuts, xargs it to a CF SSH to, hey, go into the app and run this command to git pull your repos. I don't know why it was built this way.
Wouldn't it be
Oh my.
easier that in the app itself it would just pull it continuously every freaking hour?
Probably.
No, this is instant. Like now, like as soon as the pipeline finds a new release, it updates everything instantly.
Also, the update all generally at the same time, as opposed to each one being slightly out of sync, and then your refreshes show different stuff. But it also doesn't do this. It doesn't run this on startup, which is insane, because if the Diego cell gets rolled and the app gets started up from its old state, it now has just the old view of the world compared to every other Diego cell that has done this. I mean, you can fix that with just running this on app startup, but like, why it doesn't just get push every time a change happens, I don't know.
It's fantastic.
Or CF
It's
push.
stateful CF app. We can do stateful.
Who
We
created this?
support stateful.
Is he still working somewhere?
Oh, is it really? Did Danny Berger really made this? This is minor refactor. No, I think I went back to the history. It very well might have been Dimitri.
Was probably just like only used for quick development, like just test this.
Yeah.
Don't tell me. I've digged into the VirtualBox CPI code. Well, Golang conf from Dimitri is a bit of a story.
Yeah, VirtualBox is one hacked. I think it was one of the first CPIs, right? I was like,
No, not. Well, oh yeah, the Ruby version was started in 2013. Yes, but it has disappeared. I have a copy of the repo of the Ruby code of that. It was
so you
called
can show it
the
on the next
Workstation
CF Summit, but
CPI.
you have to have that one just for the museum.
Yeah, I like doing history. I mean, yeah, I'm passionate about that.
Speaking of the VirtualBox CPI, that's the next agenda item. Oh wait, hold on.
That's mine.
It's not. It's not. I
That's
was
my
just
time.
kidding.
Oh, great. All right. I can wait.
We didn't look at issues. I
No, we
forgot
should
about the
first
issues.
let's first do the agenda item.
Agenda item first. All right.
All right. So the story was suddenly I had evolved a bit on my multi-CPI setup. Well, fun fact, it's not working. I'm mixing Warden and VirtualBox. I wanted one single Bosch director to provision separate Garden backends, because with a shadow CPI trick, I can have one director interact with a distant Garden backend. Right. So I wanted one single director to create the VirtualBox machines and command the Garden, create inside Garden. This is possible as long as I can use one VirtualBox CPI and one Warden CPI, because both of them are not supporting multi-CPI, which means that I can have different types of CPIs, but only one of a kind of each type. To have many CPIs of one type, then the CPI must support accepting its configuration in the context of each request, which is not the case for those CPI. So they need to evolve. Anyway, so I have I had issues deploying Kubernetes Bosch release from James Hunt, which requires to inject some modules in the kernel. So inside Garden containers, this is not possible to do. So I said, all right, I need to set up a VirtualBox and have a VM to try this Kubernetes Bosch release, and it's going to be okay injecting the module into the kernel. And this was a good way also to bring the required Xenarial stem cell in there. But my CPI, just uploading the stem cell, suddenly the CPI says, I can't connect to that SSH host. I scratch my head. I try to connect. It's connecting. The thing is, the old Golang code, VirtualBox CPI has been compiled late with Golang 1.17.2. So it is dating 2017 of some sort, 5 years ago. And when SSHing to a host, it uses SHA-1 fingerprints algorithm, which is not accepted by default by recent OpenSSH installations. They require SHA-2 or SHA-51912, etc. So I needed to rebuild that, and it was just to test if that was the solution to my problem. Because, oh yeah, by the way, I didn't want to relax the configuration of my OpenSSH server because it is exposed to the internet. So I wanted it to be secure. And it worked. It was a really hard work to create the pipeline. Oh, well, I have templates, but I had not really created jobs to upgrade packages. So I made a job for upgrading the Golang packages. I have found the template job used by VMware or Broadcom now, but it was not really fitting my need. I could not. There was a small problem. I could not reuse it. I wanted to reuse it, but I couldn't. So I ended up with a pipeline that can bump the Golang dependencies of that, recompile it, bump the Golang package, and shipped new version of the release with everything bumped, which is cool. And it's the 0.4.3 release, but it's on GStack, and I would like it to be on Cloud Foundry now that it has proven being okay. It works.
Yeah, just bump the pipeline, put it in the CI. Well, you already have that, and just make a PR for it, and then contact me, and I will put it into the pipeline. Put it in there.
Yeah.
No
So
problem. Not that much work.
Yeah,
The only thing maybe is but I think we already do it for a current VirtualBox. We already have like the blob store. So I just need to set the proper credentials. Don't know if still
Okay.
VirtualBox is still running somewhere, Ruben. Is it in VMware CI somewhere or?
No, there's no CI for it currently.
No, okay. I will just.
That's why
we'll just
it's
put
in
it
your
in
CI.
Yeah, no problem.
So yeah, the point is to move that pipeline to CFF, and for me to it would be okay that I operate it, or well,
Yeah, I think so when it comes to access, I think access to CredHub is probably not a good idea because it's not so we haven't set up proper RBAC, right? Like it's not that
There are only like 4 people
it's
now.
basically just global.
Yeah, I get it.
So, but I think that, yeah, and so it would take, we probably need to do something where we make sure that like smaller groups of people have access to smaller small parts of it. But I mean, that's work that I wouldn't want to prioritize because of VirtualBox. But like probably getting access to the CFF concourse so that you can kick off builds, I think that should be a thing that should be possible for release. You are a reviewer, so you are part of. So I think we just need to configure the concourse to
Mm.
give access to more people. Which
Okay.
GitHub themes are we currently using? Do you know, Ramon?
The Bosch stem cell CI something. I know we renamed it like last year.
Something.
I don't think we
Teams.
put it in there.
Put in
Teams, let me check. Teams.
This is the new concourse. The previous one
Yeah.
was on. Previous one was on Kubernetes. This one is runs on VMs. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
GitHub
I didn't
auth.
know about this repo.
Concourse deployment. We're using GitHub auth, but we're not passing in a variable for the names. I guess must be in
Wait.
CredHub.
Wait a minute. This concourse is able to self upgrade with
Yes.
that job? Oh,
Yeah.
all right. Fantastic.
Yes. It is a series
I'm-
of shenanigans that involves deploying a new web and a new worker and using that new web and worker tagged to deploy the old one and then deleting them at the end. It is the only safe way to upgrade, apparently. Also, it has to pause all other things because Concourse does not like workers going away while jobs are running. Even though it drains them properly, it doesn't actually drain them properly, which is kind of upsetting. All on my to-do list. The first thing on the to-do list is figure out how Concourse works internally, though, to be able to make a PR.
It's fantastic. I was thinking of such design, and you actually made it. You guys are genius.
It only took 3 years of random failures. It's like, oh, can't do that. That doesn't work.
Okay.
I
I
put the
must
group-
apply that to my own setup. Right.
Ruben, I put the group in the
Yeah, I
in
see
the
it.
Teams chat.
Question about these custom scripts. Do you need something that the shared scripts don't do, or is it the fact that we haven't exposed the shared scripts in a public way that made them so that you knew about them?
Is
I think
sorry.
the pipeline templates were the old Stark and Wayne with the default templating for CIs that we had.
The Golang release itself has shared CI tasks for bumping the Golang package and bumping depths.
Yeah, I know. I've seen that.
Okay.
I should. There's a bug with the Git email and Git user. If you see in the commit logs, the username for the boat is CI instead of CI boat. It's because there are quoting issues. Here it's on line 48. On line 48, you must quote Git username.
Oh.
And
But I mean, like that.
well,
That
but-
could be a PR, right?
yeah, I should submit that.
We might want 3 reviewers on that one, though.
Yeah. So, but recently, few days before I was working on that, if you go back to that script, someone has added some mess that I don't understand in there. If you blame on top, I
Is
know
it
that
these-
blaming is
These
It's not-
lines.
yes, these lines, and when I don't understand something like that, I don't want to use it.
That's fair. And in fairness, we didn't make these sort of backwards compatible. We didn't add, a lot of times we add features to this, we make them opt in. This one we made it sort of global. So it used to be that this would always bump your Go declaration in your mod file to the latest. Turns out, well, it would do like 122 now. And it turns out you should never do that because 122 is not a real version of Go. And so it would actually break, it turned out it broke a bunch of people. So the correct thing to do is 122.0, which is an actual released version. So patch versions are required now. Also, we learned that the Go declaration prevents people from importing a package if they're not using at least that version. So we had people on Go 121 trying to import Bosch utils, and they're like, you updated it to 122, and now we can't import it anymore. We're like, oh, sorry about that. So now it locks down to sort of the oldest supported version. So it will basically make Go 121.0, and it now adds the toolchain declaration, which also is Go 121.0. Oh, sorry. This does do Go 121, no .0, which is an actual version. It was like a dev version, so you need that dev version or greater. That part's confusing. But then the toolchain declaration. Oh,
I didn't see the .0 at the end of that line 25, which is so important. Okay, so I made that mistake when bumping VirtualBox CPI, but it's only on my GStack repo, so we can make it right.
Yeah. So we're not 100% confident we're doing this right at this point in time. So if anybody sees Golang bumpings breaking stuff, let us know, because Go changed all of this in 121, and only as of 122 did it actually start breaking us their changes. But
okay,
yeah.
but line 21, why new Go minor is by default Go minor -1?
Yeah, that variable should be renamed.
Okay.
This commit was done by a non English as a first language speaker.
Okay, all right. Yeah, I don't know him. I saw that.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, so but does this apply to everyone? I mean, or is it specific to your own needs?
We believe it's safe for everyone, assuming you don't need to use a Go version that's no longer supported. Like if you're trying to use Go 117 and import packages, you cannot import any packages done by this. You need at least Go 121. We could leave these declarations back to like Go 117 or something, but like that feels weird. So we think it is the best sort of practice, but it could be definitely use cases where people don't want this if they are using old unsupported versions of Golang.
Okay, and if I use this and if I don't set, which one is if I don't set Go minor, which one is it's new Go minor. If I don't set it, it's safe.
I think so. Yeah, I think that's optional. That's not the right script. Yeah, if it's set. If it's not set, then it uses the current one -1. So right, I guess you can set it. So I guess this does work for everybody. It's just that if you want to use an old one, you have to specify which old one you want. So it will by default use n-1 unless you specify new Go minor.
But what does it mean? This new Go minor.
New Go minor, yeah. Is this a new variable? I might change this today if it's brand new.
I think so, yeah. If you blame, you see that it is part of what has been added, yes.
Yeah, okay. We'll change that and try to document what that's supposed to mean, I think. I'll get that done this morning.
That would be great.
Yeah.
Thank you. So except that, yes, I can reuse it. Reuse
Can we come to a conclusion then?
Yeah, we can move
So
further.
yeah, so Joseph is gonna make some changes to that Go thing, and then Benjamin will use that in his pipeline, create a PR against VirtualBox, and then Ramon will add the pipeline to the Foundation Infrastructure Concourse.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the
Okay.
plan? And then there's still the access bit of maybe it should be. So we have the main, and we have one for stem cell stuff, right? Do we have more?
No, we only have
No,
main
it's
and
about our
UAA at the
concourse.
moment.
Oh, we have main and
Yeah,
UAA.
just main and UAE.
Yeah.
So we could add more teams if we wanted to.
Yeah, I think because the whole point was that we wanted the people who want to maintain stem cells are in a separate area, right? But I think it's not the goal to give those people also access to all the other pipelines. Maybe, I don't know.
Makes sense.
I think that was the point, the idea.
For me, For me, it was like everyone who is in Bosch and who is reviewer anyways. They already
Yeah, but
they're
I think
already
this
in the
stems
ecosystem. So.
the whole point was that we wanted to be able to give people that help maintaining the stem cell to have a bigger group there than we have in the rest of the projects.
I think
Probably
it was more to give people possibility to release themselves if
Yeah, I think it was more for the publisher where you can get more.
Yeah.
So we don't want anyone to be able to to run publisher. That's basic.
Yeah, so we should probably restructure this a bit, but then we lose the history, right?
I mean, we did that fairly recently anyway, right? Or no, I guess we didn't lose history.
You can move pipelines from teams to teams
Can you?
without losing history.
Yeah, you can move stuff.
You can do a SQL on the Postgres database. It's safe.
You made it sound like a feature.
I think you can now move it, right? With the new. No, I'm not sure.
I guess so. I think that the fly has evolved a bit to be able to do that. Not 100% sure. But when I log in, I see only 4 pipeline-ish. I think the 4 pipeline I see are public, and
Probably.
Maybe I'm not a member of any team. Or...
Yeah. No, you are a member of the approvers team. You're not part of the stem cell publisher area or something, right? But and currently the permissions are all tied to that group, but I think that should change, right? So we should have only the stem cell related pipelines be mapped to that area, and all the other pipelines should be mapped to the approver role in the main VM lifecycle area. Then you should have access.
All right. Do you want to refactor before you give me access, or is it unrelated?
You will get access because of that refactor, because you are already part of the group that should have access.
Okay.
As an approver.
All right. So okay, I just have to submit my pull request, and then for the
yes.
For the new release, we may rebuild it, not switching to 122, but maybe just stick to 121, Golang 121.7, maybe, or
What's that?
Because I'm concerned that maybe when bumping to latest Golang 122, maybe I haven't done it right. I mean, the .0, at least in the Go mode, is not there in what I've done. So there's something to fix, I guess.
Yeah, but I'm like, you're gonna make PRs for this the CI changes, right? So we can just review those as normal.
Okay, right. Do you want me to adopt the? Oh no. I'll just push it this way. It's working. Yeah, right. If we want to switch to the standard bump thing, we can do it later.
Yep.
Yeah. So soon I will add some new features on Warden and VirtualBox CPIs for supporting multi CPIs.
It's open for contribution.
Yeah, that's right. and I've digged a bit in the VirtualBox code, and recently last summer we have accepted some contribution from SAP, which we shouldn't have accepted without with so few comments. I have nearly one remark to say at every line of code that has been changed. It's yeah, it's a bit sad, but well, the real problem with VirtualBox CPI is the lack of unit tests. So it's not the quality of the code, it's that we have no test on it.
Oh yeah,
so that would be the priority number one.
Yeah, I don't think other people really care about VirtualBox much, so
Mm,
feel free to
yes.
make it better. But
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it requires testing. So
yeah, do we
okay.
still want to switch to issues?
Oh yeah, I forgot
I
about
would
those.
have still three points just to address them. First is I just removed all the retries from the CPI change. For me, it's working. I will just validate it again tomorrow with the colleagues. Yeah, and then we need to get it because next week we will destroy a lot of live landscapes if we don't get it in. Then yeah, it's about an issue for the stem cell builder where we have out of memory problems, right?
It's the first issue on the list, which we
Okay.
You mean that kernel thing?
So I'm really not in the details. I didn't even read that issue right now because I had to take care for more. But what's the status here, or is there some update that we are aware of?
No, I talked with Long yesterday, and it seems like that it's only for people who are specifically set over overcommitting, that they're using the overcommitting, and nobody else is basically looking at it. It's basically a thing that Canonical should fix.
I opened a ticket with Canonical yesterday, and it seems like we have a customer who's running into it, and there was supposed to be some meeting this morning with that customer, but I sort of passed that along to the people who were meeting, like, hey, we're opening a ticket. The first thing Canonical is going to ask for is like an SOS report, which is just like their big give us a bunch of data sort of thing. So I don't know if our customer is going to get that or not. If not, we might need somebody from the community to step up and be the reproduction environment for Canonical to basically try stuff with. But it's like, it's not a good process. Canonical's normally weeks or months to get us sort of any feed. They'll be like 5 days between their updates, and they'll ask for something, we'll get it to them, then it'll be like 5 more days. So the responsiveness is not great. So hopefully it's not major, but I don't know. It seems kind of bad.
Seems to be a workaround for it, but yeah, it's also really annoying if we are going to implement kernel, basically kernel reverts the kernel every time we build stem cell.
But I mean, we can't even revert the kernel because that's 95% of the changes in the stem cell is the kernel. So it's like, you might as well just pin back the stem cell if you're going to revert the kernel in a new version.
Yes, it is possible though, but yes, it's.
I also heard questions why we are going to 6 something and not stay on 5.
6.2 rather than 6.5.
Yeah. No, even 5. What was?
No, it started from 1.5.3 because from 1.5.3 it introduced the 5.6 kernel. So the 1.3.4.0 is the one before the 1.3. Yeah, the name the stem cell versioning is really annoying. But it's like 1.3.4.0 is the one with the older kernel. And everything above that is basically kernels 6.5.
But the reason why we changed it is because Canonical changed it.
Canonical.
Jammies LTS, so the 6.2 kernel's out of support. So they're like, well, bump it into 6.5, which from the sound of it, we talked about this previously, but like, it doesn't seem like the kernel versions actually mean anything. So like, is 6.5 dramatically different than 6.2? Like, according to the kernel maintainers, like, no, they just bump the version sometimes when they feel like it. So it's unlikely that that's necessarily the root of the problem, but we don't have much control over that because the 6.2 is no longer maintained. Like, you can't get 6.2 packages.
Yo, Byron.
5.
Yeah, it's a bit of a nasty situation.
But yeah, I've got a support ticket open with Canonical. I'll check it this morning.
Okay.
They probably responded overnight or probably didn't. I mean, they probably did because their first step's always going to be like SOS report, and so
What we
gotta
can
find
do is maybe bump up front, bump to 6.6. Noble is currently using 6.6, but and I think Noble will go to 6.8 once it gets released. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's just that Canonical needs to do a patch fixing here. They probably need to backport something. But yeah, we don't have a lot of control here.
Mhm.
also it's not clear. It sounds like so the C groups are running out of memory, but like, is the system memory fine? Like, I haven't seen anybody talk about the overall system memory. Is it just the C group is claiming to run out of memory, and is it actually running out of memory, or is it not? Like, there's not a lot of data around it, which we're going to need. Canonical is going to want that data. I don't know how easy it is going to be to collect that, since I don't know. Somebody was saying that they were reproducing it in a lab fairly easily, so might be able to get some reproduction steps. Canonical is pretty good if we can get them reproduction steps, but if step one is like install Cloud Foundry, it's probably going to be a non-starter for them.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Matthias,
so,
if,
yeah,
if you can help here to reproduce, if you have to have an environment where data can be. I think Chris from GovCloud was also he has a setup where he can reproduce the issue.
I can ping McGowan directly and see if he has some if he has more info, or maybe some ability to reproduce it in a lab. I'll ping him now.
All right.
Yeah.
Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, one point. We are waiting for another director release, and
For
then
the Blob Store stuff.
for the what stuff?
For the Blob Store, the
Yeah, exactly. For these put headers for the Blob Store. So there we are as well waiting for a direct release. But on the other hand, we don't need to take this discussion now, but because we are far over time. But scheduling a regular release would be cool, and getting the option to release it from our side would be as well very cool, so that we do not have to disturb you on and on and on again, right? Maybe we should discuss this next time.
There is an automated stuff, but the pipeline is getting red every freaking time. So
oh shit,
as soon as that gets green, it's automatically bumped, but it's staying red, and it's
well, it gets automatically released if any of the packages get updated, which we should expand that too, because we also have automation somewhere that auto releases BOSH releases based upon high or critical CVEs being fixed, which you got a lot of Ruby gems in BOSH Director. Probably that happens often. Yeah, that would help with the auto releasing. But I think probably as part of the pipeline changes, it should be easy to get more people access to the concourse and be able to trigger builds.
Yeah.
But yeah, I can cut a BOSH Director. Well, I'll kick some jobs until it gets green, and then I'll cut the BOSH Director.
Yeah, the last one that failed for doing a final release was the API of GitHub being annoying again. So yeah. And now it's just red again. So
yeah, we have 2 large workers, and there's 3 large jobs that start at the same time. So often the 2 that run on the one worker, one of them dies.
Yeah. Do we need to just bump it at some point?
Maybe. I mean, if we add another worker, it'll probably be when we were running it over here, I mean, we had 8 big workers of the same size, and it was generally fine. There was occasional reds, but not like every other run. But we probably don't want 8 giant workers. Bleed the foundation out of all the money.
Well, we are still cheaper than what we initially requested, so
that's good.
What do you mean big? How big?
I don't know. They're like 8 or 16. What are they? How many CPUs?
At VMware or
No, the workers we currently have.
I think they're not really big. We first used just the large VM type, and I think now we use extra large.
They are.
And memory. Big in terms of CPUs or memory.
16 CPUs, 64 gigs of memory.
All right. Okay.
So like, not the biggest,
Fairly
but
large.
like
Yeah,
they're not free.
it's quite something.
And we run them all the time. It would be nice to scale them down, but Concourse doesn't let you do that easily.
Are you guys working at night or so?
Yeah. That's sort of a problem with scaling down. Like we do have people in, 2/3 of the time zones, sort of.
Well, we had automatic scaling with the Kubernetes Concourse the way that we had it, but it was flaky as hell. So
yeah, I implemented scaling down on weekends and nights in our Concourse, and it just doesn't work. Like you can drain you can scale down, it drains the worker node, but if it's running a job, it'll wait for that task to finish, but then it doesn't wait for the job to finish, so that it like kills the worker. So the next task starts in that job, and it's like, hey, the containers are gone, the volumes are gone. It's like, yeah, why are you done draining?
Yeah, it
Concourse
should
needs some
just
love again.
Yeah. It should just stop scheduling any job, but finish any job.
Finish the job. Yeah, it's smart enough to finish the task, but not the job, which is not good
Isn't
enough.
it open? Is it open for contributions?
It is
by any
but
chance.
I've got in there and not been able to do anything yet. All right. Any other issues people want to talk about? I'll probably go through the issues at some point today. There's not that much in the last 2 weeks. We didn't do it last week, but there's only a couple new ones, and we already talked about the major ones.
Let's go.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
Okay, see you next week.
See you.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.